Hello, welcome to week 7. Start off, I want to say this week should hopefully be a little less intense than last week, week 6, because all of chapter 13, all of equilibrium was kind of a lot to do, especially with how the test and how things got pushed back. So that was this week won't necessarily be like light or something, but it hopefully will not be as intense as week 6 was with chapter 13. We're getting into chapter 14 here. We got 2 full weeks for it, kind of spread it out. So hopefully that will make it a little easier. We are starting chapter 14, acids and bases. 2 kind of quick things. Well, one quick thing I want to point out is that in acids and bases, if you go to the additional resources folder at the bottom, this weak acid dissociation constant page, you are going to use a lot. I am a big fan of giving you reference information that you have to use to look up, and you will need to use this for participation assignments. This table will be used on tests, on all sorts of things. So in this additional resource folder, strong acid list, and the equations in that, you don't necessarily need to use, but this weak acid dissociation constant table, you will be using a lot. And so I highly recommend that you reference this if you ever need to, if you're ever kind of faced with needing to do a calculation where you need to look up these dissociation constants, these Ka values. You don't know what those are yet, but I promise they'll be useful. And you can even notice those are, if we go back to week 7, they have their own multiple videos, right? And it's called Ka. And so we talk about those, talk about pKa, a lot of related ideas. So we will use that reference material a lot. You should expect to have to look up that information. The other thing I want to point out is that for the lab this week, it is actually just an equilibrium lab. There's no acids bases, but the post lab is going to be a little bit different than we've seen before. There will be, if I open up the handout, if I scroll down all the way to the bottom, take some time to load. If I can get it to go. So there are questions. So you can see the post lab. There are questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in 1 through 4, you're going to be doing calculations. But in step 5, I have made a Google Sheets, basically a spreadsheet, for you to use to do calculations. Basically, you're going to run a bunch of trials, a bunch of different samples. And instead of doing all that work yourself, you can use this Google Sheets application to basically do some of the calculations for you and even check some of the work. So you will do calculations for some of it, but then you can use that application. There's this video that I've made to kind of talk about how you use that application. There is also a link to the Google Sheets workbook just in the main folder, as well as a link to the video right there. So I do encourage you to use it. You can work through and manually do all this, but it's not an efficient use of your time. So I encourage you to use the Google Sheets workbook to calculate out for the samples you don't need to show your work for. Because if I used to make people just calculate it all, and it's just like pages of the same work with just different numbers, which seems kind of silly. So you're doing the same calculations over and over and over again, and computers are really good at that. That's what computers are great at, just doing the same calculations over and over again. So I'd rather you know how to do it once, right? I want you to do it once, but other than that, I'd rather you have the calculator do the work, save yourself some time, and then analyze all those numbers, as opposed to just doing a pile of calculations and then not really kind of thinking about the numbers that have come out of it. Because I'm not going to give you, 10 points of a post lab for pages of calculations. But if you have any questions, let me know. Welcome to Acids and Bases. Very important chapter here, chapter 14. It's got 2 full weeks. This is the longest we spent on any chapter. It has 4 sets of videos for just chapter 14. So a lot of stuff here, a lot of meat to what we have here. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, welcome to week 7. We got week 8 and then spring break after that. We are close to the halfway point. Have a nice break, and it'll be real hard to come back from that break. But otherwise, welcome to week 7. Welcome to chapter 14, acids and bases. Real exciting stuff. I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions about doing the post lab or the Google Sheet stuff, let me know. Otherwise, take it easy.